Okay, looks like we are live here. This process changed a little bit, so but David Kirsten here with Quantum Leap, and I'm pleased to have Louise Goeckel with us today, our career coach. And Corey might also be joining us. He's coming back from a concert out in Arizona, but he said he may pop in, so we'll see. I did want to note that Erica is out sick now, so we won't have any ripple effect today. But with that, I'm just gonna have you introduce yourself, Louise, and want to just welcome you back. We always love to have you on um, at the beginning of the seasons because you really set the table out there and the career environment, and you provide so much value to your clients in terms of in this work transition. If you don't mind just introducing yourself and telling us how you serve your clients.
Sure. Thanks, David. Yeah, I've been doing career coaching for about 20 years and love to help people with their work life. And I love to help people design and build and live the life they want, and work is such an important foundational piece. I just really have studied my whole life how to help people be their best at work. And then when they're at their best at work, we all benefit. So it's a very nice big circle. So I have a master's in counseling. I got that when in my 20s. And since then I was in counseling for people with disabilities and work. So career counseling with an added dimension. And so as people are finding themselves with extra challenges, it's not a challenge in our work. We just incorporate it and learn about it and use it to help people actually be them full selves. They don't have to hide anything. And I've always enjoyed where sociology and psychology and economics come into play in the world of work. I love to see the dynamics of people and organizations and the marketplace all come together. So I've been a recruiter, I've been a management consultant, I've been an executive, I've been a entry-level employee, I've done executive coaching and coaching for people at all levels of authority and all ages, 16 to 76. So I just love my work. I love the world of work and I understand it and I'm curious. I'd love to do actually every job in the world, but I can't. So I help people do their job and I get to experience so many wonderful things that way.
Great. And I know we've known each other. I was calculating the other day about when I joined our B&I chapter for about 3 years now. And I consider you one of my key kind of mastermind partners on this work world out there. Cause I've kind of, we do it for the podcast, but also in some of the coaching and things Corey and I do, we're really in kind of really synergistic classifications. So it brings me to my next question about, we've tracked this on the podcast for a while about, if you don't mind just kind of summarizing where we've been a little bit in the pandemic and kind of where you see that current work environment out there right now for folks who are maybe looking to change jobs, maybe they're looking to find a job, but what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, and also for people looking to stay in their job, because these days employers are laying off more and reducing forces, and it's not just firing, there's always hiring and firing, but there's a real intent on reducing costs, and labor has become a much higher cost than it ever has been. And that's with good reason. I like that, I support that. We want workers to get fair wages and fair benefits and fair compensation totally, but employers are just kind of waking up. In the pandemic, there was a huge loss of income for so many, and yet for others, huge growth of income. And so they're trying to balance that all out now and see what's next. So yeah, workers want more now. The commute is a question. Do I have to commute? The culture is a question. Am I going to fit? Am I going to feel like I belong? Am I going to feel like I'm supported to grow? Am I going to feel as if the employer is on my side as well as their side? And how can I balance my work life? Because after the pandemic, people have woken up to, whoa, life is a lot more than just being busy and working. And so how do we get all those pieces in a better balance? If we didn't have it in the pandemic or before that, how do we do it now? And so people want to grow professionally. They want to invest in themselves because they're realizing in an inflationary time, in recession, possibly investing in yourself as a contributor, as someone who brings something to the table, is the best way you can invest in your future. And the biggest asset you have is your ability to work and contribute and exchange that in the marketplace for as much as you can get. Who needs you the most, and who pays the most for that? So people are also waking up to negotiating, not just fitting into a box, but doing a resume as a marketing piece, and then negotiating with the employer at the time of a discussion. And if there's an offer, yeah, you can ask for that standing desk. Yes, you can ask for not just partial commuting, but maybe more full-time commuting or lack of commuting, whatever you like, because some people love to be in the office and some do not. And, maybe you can get some money for tuition. Maybe you'd like to have your professional development sponsored by the employer. And so it's a very vibrant time, very dynamic. Employers are overwhelmed. If they've seen profits go up, they want to keep it that way, but oftentimes there's a crunch in the marketplace. So how do you balance it all out? And the cost per worker is higher because healthcare is higher. Every compensation aspect is going higher, with employers needing to fund that. And so that's often reducing positions. So now's the time, a really good time. It's huge change. So it's a really good time to review what you're doing, seeing if you are in the right place, doing the right work. And if not, make a plan. Don't do it willy-nilly, but make a plan and leave gracefully and in strength, not hobbling and wondering who you are.
Great. And that brings me to my next question here about how do you serve your clients in terms of, if somebody comes to you, maybe they have a job and they want to grow in that job better as an executive, or maybe they want to, maybe they don't know if they want to stay, but how do you kind of work with and serve your clients in terms of your process and the kind of the working the process that you use?
Mechanics of it, yeah. So I have found that working one-on-one with people is the most beneficial. I'm a fast worker, fast thinker, and a fast sort of like supporter. So working one-on-one with people gives them my full undivided attention for an hour at a time or an hour and a half, whatever they choose. And we go deep and wide and really get to the heart of the matter. So I kind of have 4 steps. It's an inspiration. I help people be inspired by themselves as to what their real talent and genius is, what their gifts are. And then we go into clarity, okay, honing that down. What does that mean for you now? Maybe 20 years ago it meant one thing, but what does it mean now? And then strategies. Okay, this is your target. How are we going to get there? What are the action steps? And everybody has homework to do between sessions, and we schedule the sessions according to the amount of time people need to do the homework. So the homework is on the ground, action steps to really further educate, learn, reflect, act on, meet, interview, do a resume, etc. And then support. Throughout the whole thing, I'm just always supporting people to be their best. And we start off with the first homework question is always, can you remember some times when you were at your very best? And having them reflect on those, and we dissect those and find out what were the ingredients that actually came together for them to be at their best.
Great. And you are located in the East Bay area?
I'm in Alameda, but right now that doesn't matter. Um, I am doing all appointments by phone or Zoom, whatever the person prefers. And so my clients are international and across the nation.
Beautiful. And now I'm into Corey's questions here. One thing we always often like to ask is what is your why? What drives you to do what you do?
Um, I love to serve. I really love to serve, and I love to see people excelling in their work. When I see somebody doing a great job, no matter what the job is, I always compliment them, and it just gives me great joy. So I want to be the person who helps everyone get better at their work, and whatever that means. And it doesn't matter to me what work they want or how they want to get better. Great, we'll do it.
Great. And what are some of the biggest challenges you see out there that people face? And I know we've touched on this, but in terms of say somebody's trying to do this all on their own, what challenges are they facing?
Yeah, it's particularly challenging in your 40s and 50s and 60s because there's this onus or this perception that you can't change, when in fact the climate is so ripe for change. Chaos elicits change and makes it easier to change, even though it feels scarier. So people are often confused, like, okay, I've been working for a while, but who am I? What do I really want? And what can I do? And where's it fit? You know, if I want to do this, who hires for that? And what's the job title? And what kind of skills do I really need? Do I need to go back to school? Do I need to take a course? Do I need to, really update myself? So it's a time of sort of chaos as well as positive change. I mean, look at the positive changes. The EPA just established a whole department for environmental justice because they're just acknowledging that racism leads to environmental injustice. And so, like, wow, that's amazing culture shift. So, if someone's interested in environmental justice, there's new opportunity. Look at the Latinas who are disrupting business and politics. Woo! And then look at the Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who just started her new job. It's phenomenal. So there are a lot of positive things out there, and we just have to go from the strength of who you are to finding the earnest, honest, best way for you to be out there.
Yeah, and I always appreciate hearing your comments every week. And I'm always struck by your positivity and just your upbeat energy, which you need more than anything looking for work. And that's why I think having somebody like you to help people with their career search is really hugely invaluable. And I heard this quote once: if we're going to doubt something, doubt the limits that we kind of placed on ourselves, because you need somebody like you to really give us that awareness of what we're capable of. So I just see you unlocking that for a lot of your clients, and hearing all the anecdotes and stories that you share about the breakthroughs that people make every week or every few months or whatever it may be with you. Which I don't know if you have any kind of current update like that. I do have one more question about some of the results you've gotten for some recent clients or people that you're working with, either now or kind of in the last 6 months or a year.
Yeah, listen to this. I just got this email. I reached out to one of my clients who I worked with the whole year, 20 all of 2021 and a little bit in 2022. Then she, with the plan that she would leave her huge, very successful executive level position with one of the largest private employers in the country. And she would then move to Florida. She lived in Minnesota, moved to Florida, start a brand new life with her husband, and do a side gig and just really get into a new career. She'd done so much. So I reached out to her because she's in Florida, Southern Florida. And she goes, silver lining. She said, we're okay. We had to evacuate from our home in Sarasota. So we went to Orlando to ride it out. We made it safely. And luckily our home only had minimal damage. We just got power and water back today. But in Orlando, a girl sat down to us at the pool bar the first night it was still open. She happened to work at a company I'm considering that my friend just got a job at. We talked for 2 hours and she told me all about that company and said she can definitely tell that I'd be great in a few roles they have. We exchanged numbers and she ended up hanging with my husband and I during the hurricane because she was there by herself. Turns out she's a vice president of the company. We became fast friends and even planned a trip together. So crazy. So this is a woman who was really clear what she wanted, left her last position strong and mighty, and with all the perks that they could give her. And then she is launching herself into a new arena, and the energy is so high. Look who she attracted. Woo!
Great. That's beautiful.
Even in a hurricane.
Nice. I did want to just end with and this might be a bit of a recap that we like to end with, about who's your ideal client out there that you're looking to work with right now.
Yeah, someone who really wants to invest in their career. So someone who wants to take the time, the reflection, the energy to really put some focus. They want a thought partner, they want an ally, they want an advocate, they want an advisor. I'm that person. I love to listen and help that person just really keep investing in themselves, and they don't have to leave their job right now. Let's just make what they have right now great, and then make the plan for a really successful launch.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to end it there. And thanks so much for coming on, Louise. A great conversation as usual. And I look forward to actually seeing you in the morning.
Thank you, David. You too. Take care. Thank you for this.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Quantum Leap. We'll see you next week.